We're now going to discuss intensity level, which might be something everyone is familiar with but didn't realize that they were using. So a sound that is 10 times more intense is not perceived as 10 times louder. It actually follows a logarithmic scale. So we can say intensity level is equal to 10 decibels times the log, so base 10 log, of the intensity of the sound that we learned about in the previous topic, compared to the threshold of hearing. So that's the lowest intensity sound that the human ear can actually perceive. So the dB here is actually a conversion between bells and decibels. So the units of intensity level are decibels, or dB. So you might have some experience with decibels in the past. This is usually the unit discussed whenever you're discussing any sort of, you should not experience a sound greater than such. It's usually discussed in decibels. So you might have heard about something about listening to your music with earbuds on, or if you've been in the workplace, there are certain regulations impacting how high of a decibel level you're allowed to experience for a certain period of time. So this equation up here compares the sound intensity to the threshold of hearing, so the lowest intensity sound you can perceive, and it bases an intensity level on that. So how loud the sound would be, remember it's a logarithmic scale compared to intensity. But what happens if you want to compare two different intensity sounds, or two different intensities because you've moved from spot A to spot B? So you want to know how much you've decreased the intensity level. So if you decreased it by standing 10 feet away rather than 5 feet away, if you decrease below some sort of regulation level. So to do that, we need to subtract the two intensity levels. And remember, when you're doing base 10 log, subtraction and division end up being the same thing. So this is why we're going to do the log of I2 over I1. Now, if we want to jump directly from intensity level to distance, so simply compare being a certain distance away, what happens to the intensity level. Remember, we learned in the previous topic that I1 times R1 squared is equal to I2 times R2 squared. So we can rearrange that to say intensity 2 divided by intensity 1 is equal to distance 1 squared divided by distance 2 squared. So I can make a substitution in here, subbing in, so we have this here that matches, so we can sub this in. So now we can get what is the change in intensity level based upon moving from distance 1 to distance 2. So we have two different methods. We can calculate the intensity level based upon the intensity of the sound. So how loud is it compared to how intense is it? Or we can compare two different intensity levels compared to two different intensities, or we can use distance to establish what the change in intensity is.